So, welcome to today's podcast, where I'm joined by none other than the famous Charles Floate, who has not been on videos for a while now. So, it's a great chance to hear of an update about Charles, what he's been doing, some of the things that he's finding with some of the most recent updates, and everything else. So, Charles, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Craig. It's good to be back on some live streams and some YouTube stuff.
Yeah, no, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. So you are in Thailand right now, enjoying it. How's just first before we go into SEO stuff, how's the COVID thing over there? Is it like no one giving a fuck over there?
No, but it's been there's not really any cases here. We haven't had a case in months, in my region at least. And then the whole country, I don't think has had one in 2 months. The only cases that we had in like the last half a year basically were mostly from the Egyptian embassy not declaring some travelers who had been to China. And then they came in, they didn't declare they'd been to China, didn't quarantine. And then loads of infections spawned from them just going around Bangkok and stuff. But yeah, the Thai government has handled it pretty well, to be honest. Maybe not the economy so well, but lockdown and stuff, they've really locked down. Like everyone was, there's a curfew implemented in January. There was flights cancelled from January. All flights from China were cancelled on like January 2nd or something. So the Thais weren't really affected by it at all. In our entire region, since it's begun in December, we've had 52 cases. So it's not really affected us too much. And now we're pretty free, like we can go out, do anything we want. But everyone wears masks anyway.
Yeah.
And Chiang Mai specifically, sorry to draw this out, but Chiang Mai specifically got really lucky because we have burning season in January and February. So normally the farmers burn stuff and everyone wears masks anyway. So we were the only city in the whole of Southeast Asia to have a surplus of masks during COVID. So we had more masks than we even needed to at the start. And everyone was wearing them anyway, and everyone stayed inside anyway because it was burning season and the air was quite crap. So it hasn't really affected us, and everyone kind of stuck to the rules, and it panned out pretty well.
Sensible people. But so we'll go on to obviously you, what you've been doing recently. I've seen you're obviously still active on Twitter, which I think is the only platform where you are, and or have remained active for a while, and obviously you've got courses and various other bits and bobs that you've been doing. I'm going to ask you a question, and you might or might not be able to answer it, but obviously you've focused solely on Twitter, and one of the biggest things is there's so much noise from social media. So like when I log on, I've got 10 messages in Facebook, 10 messages in Twitter, 10 in Instagram, 10 here, there, everywhere, Skype popping off, WhatsApp's popping, and it's just a whole lot of noise. So how have you found the scaling back on your social media videos and, obviously Facebooks and everything else in terms of productivity? How's that working?
Yeah, so at the start of, also at the end of last year, I was really struggling with all the communication, all the messages and stuff. I did a calculation where I took one random day on a Tuesday in December and just saw how many individual people messaged me on that day. And I had nearly 190 individual conversations in one day with people. And obviously that is a huge amount of time and a huge time sink and things. And then mixed with like health issues and business issues and stuff, and me selling my company and wanting to sell my Facebook group, I just thought, okay, how can I limit the amount of ways I still want people to be able to contact me, of course, because I don't want to just disappear. But I don't want as many people contacting me. So I deleted my WhatsApp and made a new one that only my family and like close friends had access to. I deleted my Skype, I deleted my Slack, I deleted my Facebook, I deleted my I temporarily suspended my LinkedIn. I did loads of stuff just to limit the amount of conversations down to email and Twitter, and that was it. That was the only two ways you could contact me. And my conversations went down from like 180, 190 average in December to 20 in January. So I had like this huge reduction of daily conversations, and it actually freed up hours of my day every single day. And the ROI from the conversations wasn't necessarily the best. Yes, maybe I am missing out on certain opportunities and things because I'm not on Facebook. But realistically, the overwhelming amount of opportunities that I am bombarded with every day that aren't realistically opportunities is worth just being off of those platforms and removing yourself and just concentrating on the places where people can access you. And the people that want to access you and follow you will stick to you wherever you are, right? It doesn't really matter. And then I'm also building this whole new audience on Twitter, which is going after more white hat SEO people, more beginner focused people. And then there's this whole audience called Money Twitter, which is spawned from COVID. So this whole side of like side hustle Twitter, where people flip things on eBay, they sell, they buy and sell through marketplace and Facebook marketplace and forums. They sell course on Gumroad, you sell training, you do consulting, you do literal physical services. All of this basically building your own business away from a 9-to-5 job. I've tried to be the SEO face of that side of Twitter, and I've done a pretty good job of it. If you go on Gumroad and put in SEO, I'm 4 of the top 5 SEO courses on Gumroad right now, which is showing a pretty awesome turnaround from that. And if you put in SEO on Twitter, I think I'm number 2, which is pretty cool, just from Twitter search. So it's always nice to be an SEO and rank at the top of other search engines aside from Google. It always feels good.
Yeah, no, it's always a competition. I remember back in the day when LinkedIn used to have like the table where you ranked amongst your peers. And I was actually like paying a guy on Fiverr, get me more views and all that kind of stuff so that I could be in that top. You know, I wasn't obsessed with the top, but I think give us any kind of competition and we're you know, scrapping over it, which is
especially in a list format. That's where SEOs just have a thing of being they have been number 1 in that list.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird disease to have. But yeah, we've all got it. But on the Gumroad stuff that you mentioned, you've done a few courses and stuff like that. Tell us a bit about what those courses are, because I know you've got is it like 7 or 8 out there?
So again, it's all spawned from COVID. A lot of people were complaining, especially beginners or people who wanted to swap from like agency jobs because they'd been let go because of COVID, or that wanted to swap from one field of SEO that they were specializing in that was no longer as profitable, like local maybe, to affiliate or something like that. But there were all these courses out there, but the minimum entry price is like $500, maybe $1,000 for most of the SEO courses. There was nothing really except from Udemy, which is just trash. Like, let's be honest here. There's not much on there that's going to turn you into a very good SEO, realistically. And also Udemy as a platform itself is terrible as a creator, because I don't know if you know this, but they have automatic sales and automatic discounts applied to your courses that you have no control over. They might just decide that, okay, today your course is now 95% discounted and you have no say whether it's going to be that price or not. So it's just really frustrating to why you'd ever want to work with them. And then when I went on to Gumroad, there was a few other people on there, Dan Ray, Christina, who I can't pronounce her second name because she's Greek and it's an amazing second name, but we do not have the ability to pronounce that. And a couple other people on there, but they weren't really heavily promoting on there, and there wasn't really anything up to date. So I kind of, I was already on Gumroad from previous stuff where after the Chiang Mai SEO conference, I would turn my slides from mainly the Chiang Mai conference, but also like the other conferences that I speak at and other presentations that I give into one kind of end of the year course where I'd collate all of my findings and all of my information from that year into like $100 product. And I thought that pricing was really good. I thought that the lower end pricing allowed you to get loads of sales, and it allowed people who maybe were having to save up like a $3,000 course to just immediately not have to worry about that expenditure. And a lot of SEOs are like that. If they see something for $50, $100, they'll just go and buy it because there's probably going to be something in there that is a golden nugget that's going to be worth that $50, $100 in the next 6 months. So I came in with a 3-phase plan of I wanted to make a product that was affordable to everyone who had just lost their job and who had who was just starting out in SEO, who had lost their jobs from other things as well, who wanted to have start in a different industry. I wanted to create something that was accessible to everyone anyway, who was probably a veteran but could just pick up those 1 or 2 bits, that didn't want to spend $2,000 to pick up those 1 or 2 bits. And 3/3, I wanted to create multiple courses around the different topics, rather than just having one that covers everything that maybe someone only is going to get 40% out of, because they don't need the PBN stuff, or they don't need the local stuff, or they don't need that stuff. So they can go in and they can pick and choose which courses they need. So that was my 3 master plan goals of creating this Gumroad courses. And then it kind of spawned into something way more than I thought. Like the amount of people that came in and wanted access to all of this stuff was way higher than I thought. I thought maybe, I'd do like 300, 400 sales of the first ebook, which was SEO Side Hustle. It did like 2,000 in the first week. So I was just like, okay, so there's a lot more of an audience, and it's actually a lot bigger than this year than it has been any years prior. And at the same time, a few other people know this, and they know that at the start of last year, along with DFY Worries, I invested quite heavily into my travel niche affiliate websites, which is part of my travel portfolio. And I spent like tens of thousands of dollars on my travel portfolio, only for January to be I think we earned about $12,000 or $15,000 in revenue from these travel sites in January, but bear in mind, some of them might be from December. And then in February, we earned £30. So the drop is unlike anything I have ever seen in my entire life. So that really hurt as well. So I just really went in hard. I kind of got disheartened from affiliate stuff, just with COVID going on and things being so 50-50 with industries being up and everywhere, that I really focused on the Gumroad because it was going so well. And then I started creating this product roadmap of all the different products I've got. So I've got free stuff on there, I've got premium stuff on there. And like I said, now I'm like the #1 seller on Gumroad. I'm becoming one of the #1 creators for Gumroad in general. And Nick Eubanks, who is a friend of mine and a friend of Craig's as well, he referred me to the owner of Gumroad. So I now have a potential meeting with him soon, which will be very interesting to see where we can go, because I have a lot of ideas for Gumroad as a platform, and also just a lot of feedback to give him in general for that customer base. Because a lot of people don't know this, but about 20% of my sales or so right now are from Gumroad itself. So like people searching in SEO on Gumroad, or people going onto Gumroad's categories and finding me through them. And Gumroad have actively been promoting me through their own ads and through their own email lists and things and stuff, because I'm one of their creators. So it's an awesome platform, and it's just been a joy to work with this year in comparison to a lot of the other stuff that has been happening due to COVID. So I've been really blessed really to have this situation right now.
Yeah, so for anyone listening that wants to have a look at what Charles has got to offer on Gumroad, there will be a link just below the video, so you can go and have a look at the stuff that is available there at present. On to the next thing that I want to discuss is my channel sponsor. I keep always getting this finger all over the place, but Odys Global.
I think it's above me here.
Yeah. Again, Odys, you are aware of them. They're right up your street in terms of age domains and all that kind of stuff, and affiliate websites and everything else. So have you had any experience? Have you used them as a platform? Ever get any domains from them?
Yeah, so I actually know the owner of Odys from before Odys was a thing. His name's Alex Drew. Shout out to Alex. He was referred to me by James Dooley. Prior to them ever doing Odys, I think I might have bought a domain or 2 off of him directly, because he was one of the UK's top domains, probably even the world's top domain sellers before launching Odys, which is when he actually went and got funding to be able to launch Odys, to be able to get like a bigger domain inventory, to be able to do all this platform setup, etc., and build the DFY sites, as well as the fact that Odys and myself are actually working on a project together. Over the next couple of weeks, we'll be releasing a course, which will be a much cheaper course to what I normally release, even to the $100 pricing. I think it's going to be like $37, $47, which is ridiculously cheaper than it should be. Because Odys have actually gone and sponsored the course and given me a huge upfront budget and a huge an expensive domain that I can build off of. So basically, I am going onto their platform and I'm building a niche affiliate website from scratch. and I'm showing you how you can do it in a multitude of ways, as well as all the intricacies that I've been doing this year to build affiliate sites. So as well as like niche research, analysis, etc. Basically, it's an affiliate SEO course on aged expired domains, but for a fraction of the cost of what you would normally pay, because Odys have been kind enough to sponsor it and help me out with getting the domains, etc. As well as you're going to have all the information from Odys themselves about domaining and about picking from their marketplace. And there's also like a discount code, I think, that they give out. Can you?
Well, they give bonuses and everything, so there's all sorts, depending on where you go through, discount code, bonuses, all sorts. They are a generous bunch.
And it's honestly one of the best platforms in the world. And if you are new and you're going to go and buy a domain, and you know that you're going to spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on a domain, don't go and buy it yourself. Like, go and speak to the professionals. Give them a call. He will speak to you for 15 minutes, and he will recommend you exactly what you're going to need. This is the reasons why. This is the topical relevancy of this, that, and the other. And Alex knows pretty much every domain on his marketplace. It's nuts. Like, if you tell him a domain, he's going to be like, oh yeah, that's the turtle one in Spanish. You're like, okay. So they're a really good bunch of guys. If you need domains, then I recommend going through them.
You can also, guys, get a link below to go there, and you can get £100 bonus for signing up if you are accepted. Take advantage of their money ASAP, because it might not always be there. But on to other stuff. So obviously you've been doing your Twitter, Gumroad, and stuff like that. But as an SEO, you've always got to remain up to date. You can't just go and do Gumroad and forget about your SEO life, and because you've obviously done it for a long time. So let's talk about some of the updates that have happened this year. Obviously, you've been slammed at the start of the year with an update that, and it wasn't a Google update, the COVID update, which obviously slammed your travel website, which no one can resolve, no matter how good at SEO you are. But there's been other updates, such as the kind of May update, and there's been, every other day you wake up, there's people moaning, oh Jesus, have you seen this, have you seen that? So what's your view on these updates, and what have you been doing to resolve them, especially that May update where everyone's seen a fairly sizable dip?
The May update, people saw a dip and they never recovered, right? So like there wasn't a rollback, there wasn't anything like recoveries from even the Medic update. People started recovering kind of within days almost. There's just nothing. Like it seems like you have to wait for the next couple of changes for it to bounce back. The only thing with the May update is that I put a ton of time into it due to COVID affecting my affiliate sites. I also got hit by the May update across nearly half my portfolio. Not to an extent where I lost 80% of my traffic like some people, but I lost 20%, 40%, 50% in some cases. And it does hurt. And so and especially with COVID, it really hurt. So, COVID wiped out like 40% of my affiliate revenue. And then the May update just fucking halved it. So I'm like back down to like 25% of what I was earning in December. And this is, 5 months on from here, and it doesn't seem to be coming back. So I put in with Eric Lantries as well, who's from My Traffic Research, him and a couple other guys like Daniel Cutridge and things. We put a ton of time into analyzing this update. And we came back with 3 key points that we found. Number 1 was no follow backlinks becoming way more authoritative. It just seemed that overnight, if you didn't have any no follow backlinks, you were probably doomed. If you hadn't been investing in like your pillar link building and your no follow links and all of this kind of stuff on top of your guest posts and your niche edits and all that kind of stuff, then you are probably going to be tanked, which is a really good way for Google to come in and hit those lazy SEOs that just forgot to do the pillow stuff, right? Yeah. And the second thing was redirects being way more impactful. For some reason, 301 redirects just seemed to become significantly more authoritative. But that is also because maybe every time there's an update that seems to affect domain authority, where the higher your domain authority is, the more you rank. the also at the same time seems to affect 301s. For some reason, this authority complex seems to have something baked into the algorithm where 301s, it either can't handle 301s properly, or it doesn't want to do with them, or it's just confused. So it just treats them kind of like a normal supercharged backlink, where it's passing on more juice. So every time there's one of these updates, 301s just seem to go up, and they never seem to be hit, which is the case with this one as well. There's tons of them. A site that you can look at is petside.com. I don't know if you've seen it. They're literally all just 301 redirects, and they've just gone boom to like 20K organics a month in AHFs in like 3 months. And it's all just mainly, to be fair, extremely well done 301 redirects to rebuilt pages where they got like animal charity domains that no longer use that domain, and then 301'd it to a page that is about this charity, but obviously then internally links to like money pages and category pages and stuff. But they've done a phenomenal job of it. But that's just a perfect example of where 301 redirects have gone haywire. And then the third part about the update as well was the internal linkage usage. So sites that had internal links just seem to go up way up higher. But again, it's all just down to authority. Whenever these authority algorithms tend to happen, it tends to be links, 301s, and more links because they're internal links. Those are the main three things that seem to be affected, and it always seems to be the case. And people are so confused by what's going on with all these algorithm updates. And then you just look at it, and it's the same thing that happened 3 years ago. But it's just slightly more complex, and it's better at analyzing what's real and what's natural, and et cetera, et cetera. But it's realistically just, I think the people that got hit the most are the ones that were just lazy with not doing the pillar links and not doing the supporting stuff and things.
That makes sense, and obviously people not to have no follow backlinks, it just does look unnatural. If you've got 99% follow links, it looks a bit suspect. So it would make perfect sense for that to be the case with Google, and perfectly logical.
And the other thing as well is thin content. So with these updates as well, same thing happens again around every authority update. If you have an authoritative domain, thin content wins. If you have a non-authoritative, low authority domain, you lose if you have thin content on it. Very simple. If you can start pumping and churn and burning authority sites, if you got DR90, you can probably rank for most things right now, which is sad, right? Like, it's just the way the world is. Google favor authority that much that it becomes a signal of its own that overpowers even niche relevancy, right? So I think it's thin content only wins if you're of a high enough caliber for it to be able to win in that niche.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. You look at the likes of POP, for example. If you're doing content and it's pulling in, this page has got 800 words and whatever, and
exactly.
But it's not really a level playing field because that guy's got 800 words, but he's got a DR70. He's going to.
This is the problem with all of these tools. They don't look at the full picture at all. Nothing looks at the full picture. The same with like Ahref DR and Ahref keyword difficulty. They, for some reason, they only look at the backlinks that page has. So there's no domain there's no domain rank or domain authority. There's no like on page. There's nothing. It's just the links that page has. That is in those SERPs that conglomerates the keyword rank. The same thing with POP, the same thing with Surfer. You're only looking at one keyword, and it's only giving you recommendations for that one keyword. But are you trying to rank one keyword, or are you trying to rank 1,000 keywords for that page? And have they all got various different levels of things? So if you're too heavily optimizing for that one keyword, are you not optimizing enough for the other keywords that are going to generate? Even if that one keyword has 20K and it's the biggest search volume keyword out of all of them, the other 1,000 combined have 500K monthly searches. So, you're potentially losing out on traffic by not optimizing for the other ones. And again, like you said, they don't count the domain authority. They don't count the topical authority with that page. That site has 100 other pages about that topic, all interlinking and powering it up. All of these kind of things that those tools don't really allow you to look at, whereas an SEO can physically see and analyze with their own brain. So whilst those tools are good benchmarks, don't rely on them, don't use them systematically, because you're going to lose out on potential and opportunities and traffic.
Yeah, no, Wise words. So, out with the kind of me update, what else are you seeing that, because we've had several other updates in the meantime, and, we've seen Google updating, and they fuck things up. I remember one day looking on the group chat on that you used to be part of. I'm not sure if you're still in there, and all the guys are like, geez, my sites have all tanked, blah, 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 and they're all fighting. It was like a Sunday morning, and then we got a roll back a day later. What are you making of these updates? What do you think Google are up to? Because obviously the reason I'm asking you is guys like you are geeky about this stuff, like Daniel Cutteridge and, the various other guys that you roam around with, are looking at stuff that your average Joe like me probably wouldn't dig that deep into, just because I can't be asked and I'm not that technical, but I love hearing.
Well, I think 2020 is definitely the year of, if we've got to play the game. Is it an update or is it not? Is it a Google bug? It could be. But it's basically the year of patience is a virtue. Don't respond automatically. If you've tanked that day, don't start making changes and things that day, because it could be a test. So a lot of the time I've seen is Google are looking for sites to make drastic changes, just to see the sites that make drastic changes, because they know that those are SEOs. They know that they're SEOs that have gone in, and since this update, 80% of the meta titles on this page have changed, and half the backlink profile has changed because they've edited architects and all this and stuff. And that's why you nuked. So you've gone down in this update, and then you've gone boom because you went overboard. You went absolutely ham and tried to change everything that you could possibly find wrong with your entire campaign. And that's all that Google were looking for, was that little trigger, that little flash of SEO-ness. And you basically just have to wait and see and analyze and see what everyone else is coming out with as well. Try and conglomerate information. Bear in mind that that you, as an individual, you're only going to have so much resources and so much knowledge and so much depth. A lot of my analysis isn't of my own websites. A lot of my analysis and most of my data isn't from my own websites. It's from other people's websites and from all this stuff I've built together in my own database. And this shows very, very well when people are coming into me. So people are coming to me and they say, okay, I have this site, it's dominating this niche, it's doing really well. I tried to copy it into this niche, but it hasn't worked. Nothing's working. Like, why am I not ranking? This site's making 10K a month. This site's making $90 a month. Why am I not making any money? And I'm like, well, because nowadays the algorithm is so niche focused that you need to be doing the analysis, you need to be doing the research, you need to be making sure that you're on a playing field. Because whilst Google say that they're not comparing your pages to other pages, then how the hell are they building the ranking index? Like, I don't understand Google's statements sometimes, because they must be in their head like, I'm just going to say this. And SEOs are that computer illiterate that it's just going to make sense in their head, even though it makes no sense if you tell a web developer that you're not going to compare pages in a ranking algorithm. So there's all of this stuff in between that you have to kind of dissect. And when it comes to reacting to an update, unless you know 110% that is an update, do not react on that day. Just do your analysis, just do your research. Just go into the group and argue with people, because eventually it will spawn something, right? You're going to get this information that you probably didn't see before, and generally building that network of people like the WhatsApp group is a really, really vital tool of being able to do this kind of analysis. If you're going to be the very much so lone wolf SEO, good luck to you, because it's going to be really difficult, because you're going to be on your own. You're going to have to do all of this data and all of this analysis and all this finding on your own. And you're not going to have any of the specialists that are really good at that specific thing. And you're not going to be able to speak to them and get their direct insight. So I would, as much as I hate to say it, I would wait and sit on your hands a little bit when an update rolls around, because more than not, it might not be an update, and it might just be a test, and things might change within the next 48, 72 hours. And then once you know specifically it's an update, once you have your analysis, once you have your research, then you can go and make changes. You don't want to be, and again, you don't want to be thinking on emotion. You don't want to be thinking about all this stuff that clouds your actual clear judgment. Because otherwise you're going to make bad decisions, and you're not going to make the decisions that an SEO should be making. And bear in mind that whilst it's all fun and nice and cool to talk about natural language programming and all of this crazy stuff about AI and robots and stuff. At the end of the day, this intelligence that we're dealing with is still an algorithm, and it's not intelligent, and you're still having to do computer-based marketing methods to realistically be able to rank in the long term. You know, if you're doing PR, all these unbranded link mentions and things, again, good luck, because you're missing out on the 50% of the technical side. So I would just make sure that you're putting in as much time and effort into your research and analysis as you are into your implementation, basically.
Yeah, no, I think we're fortunate enough, certainly for the UK guys in the kind of WhatsApp group, where there's a nice mix of people, again, like Daniel Cutteridge, who's going to get another mention, who's insanely technical. You had yourself in there, and there's a few other guys that are, you know, obsessive about that type of thing and will argue all day long and, you know, checking out data and stuff. And I think it's great for guys like me to be able to take advantage of, you know, that. And it's always, you know, as you say, the lone wolf SEO approach, and you know everything is the worst thing. And I think that's what I always do. I just sit back, watch the arguments, the debates that go on in some of the chats, and then come to a conclusion probably a few weeks later. But sometimes I see updates, and actually my site just, you know, if it has been slapped a bit, it does just rise without me touching anything. You know, it does come back. But obviously, as time progresses, things do need to be done, and maybe, you know, I had shit internal links, or maybe, you know, wasn't doing enough no follow stuff or whatever it might be. I
think you have to remember with Google's algorithms, with Google's algorithm updates, is most years, at least within that year, all of the algorithm updates will be to try and hit a common goal. So they are, so as early on as you can identify what Google's goal is with these algorithm updates. If it's to make trust signals more influential, if it's to make link diversification more influential, all these different kind of things, like HTTPS, random stuff like that. If you can identify the individual signals and come to a common conclusion around what it is Google are trying to achieve with the algorithm updates, generally you can future-proof yourself from the algorithm updates in advance. So if they're doing an update in March, the rest of the year, the updates are probably going to be very similar to the March update. At least the big ones, the core ones are. So as long as you're doing your analysis and stuff at the start of the year, and you're preparing your site for the rest of the year, you generally don't get hit much. You don't get slapped down. As long as you're sticking all of your stuff and energy at the start of the year, the rest of the year you can kind of mostly just coast through. Aside from when you run into some updates like Medic and things. But and May update again, but those are generally, I'd say Medic and May are the only two updates that have been the most influential in the last 5 years, basically.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah. Nightmares. But obviously, in the past year, you've had a massive change. Obviously, you sold the DFY links. You then went on, you know, you had invested heavily in your travel thing. That's been slammed. And you said you maybe became a bit disheartened with affiliate. And obviously, you've come out the other end still making money. And I think that's obviously a great, you know, achievement. But where does your future lie now? Because you've been basically battered from pillar to post with COVID. your site's dropping to, you know, earning 30 bucks.
To be honest, at this point in my career, I'm kind of used to it. So it's I'm used to. I'm just waiting for the next thing. You know, as I was watching the news the other day, and someone said the pandemic in our generation, the next pandemic in our generation, is a 100% possibility. And I said, well, that's a good way to look at things, isn't it? It's just a 100% possibility, 100% possibility of everything getting fucked. So if you look at it from that angle, then you can kind of start protecting yourself in the future. So I just try and diversify as much as I possibly can. If I'm getting a huge amount of cash from one thing, and I've made a really good profit from this one part of my business, I'll try and split that cash into other parts of my business, so that I'm going to make more money from these other parts, rather than facing the risk of reinvesting it all back into one thing and that just going to crap. So I've learned to diversify heavily. especially in affiliate. This year with the travel stuff really got me to diversify. And then number two, I think it's just given me a sense of my time back, I guess. So for like the last 5 years, I've been working like 80, 100 hours, 110 hours a week, every single week, working that long. And that's, you know, Monday, Saturday to Sunday. Sundays and the weekend don't exist when you're in our world. So I was, and you know, I'd go on holiday and I'd reset, but I'd still work a few hours a day and stuff. And so this year I've really wanted to lower my working hours, and part of that was the communication side. So like withdrawing from how many conversations I was having. But part of it was also just having more time for myself. And I thought that this year I was going to be able to like travel to America, because I got my visa for America. I thought I was going to be able to go to Japan. Thought I was going to be able to go and do all this traveling, go and see all these things. Obviously not. I've been stuck in Thailand, which obviously, you know, people are like, oh, you're stuck in Thailand. What, you know, what a dick, you know. Oh, shame. It could be worse places to be stuck in. That's 110%. But I do have, this year has obviously, even though I knew that I would have all the time I wanted to be able to put into this business, I still knew that I didn't want to put the time into this business. So I limited myself to working 5 hours per day, every day. And if I've hit the 5 hour limit, unless it's a product launch or unless it's like a new site launch or something like that, then I won't go past those 5 hours, and I will like physically remove myself from the computer and turn my phone off and go and like try and watch Netflix for 15 minutes to realign my thinking back with a normal person and not thinking Googlebot. So I have, so yeah, I've just been really focusing on getting my time back, and that's been really good. Working 25 hours a week, I'm probably going to earn close to what I did last year, even though I was working like 80, 90 hours a week. So and I had 11 employees in the UK last year, and like fucking over 100 VAs and stuff. And I cut most of that all away, just to rescale down to mostly just me now. And I have my like designer, my one of my copywriting guys who's just a beast, and then who edits everything for me and stuff. And then the VA manager, that shout out to Mad Singers, I got off Mads, who is phenomenal. And those are the three people that I really speak to in the business side of things. Before, I would have daily team meetings with people, and I would speak to all these employees and all these VAs and stuff. But the actual end profit margins and the amount of time and the amount of like emotional time, like even when you have employees, you have to deal with their life problems, and like, you know, they're in hospital and they're in fucking, their mom's died and all this shit. And I know it's horrible, but like, it's not my life. I'm trying to run a business and trying to sort all this shit out, and I can't also have you crying in my office whilst I'm trying to work in my office, you know. So like, there's all this stuff that just made me really hate it. Like, I don't know, fair play to the people that run 500-person agencies, because I would not want to be you. Like, it's just not my cup of tea. As I spoke to, again, Nick Eubanks, I mentioned before, but he really helped me with the mentoring side. You want in your business as much profitability and as little responsibility as physically possible. Those are the main two things that you want from a business. And that's kind of been my driving force for this year and the future, I guess. Those are my two things that I'm going for: as much profitability and as little responsibility as possible. That's my future, I think.
Would you say, like, obviously, when you had all these staff and all that kind of stuff, it was more of an ego thing? Like, yeah, I've got a UK office and I've got these staff, blah, 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 blah. Because I think that for me, when I had an agency, I don't even know why I went down the route of having local people, because it probably was to sit in the pub with my mates saying, yeah, I've got 11 boys working for me or whatever, you know, and you're just like, fuck. And you know, we've all had those sleepless nights where you're going, if this money doesn't drop, I don't know how I'm going to pay everyone this week. And you know,
the fact that I sold that physical office and that I sold all that stuff in December was a freaking blessing in disguise. Let's be real, because it's a month later, and 2 of my employees would have had COVID, because 2 of them actually got COVID in January who was Odys and another employee. So I would have been potentially having my entire office out of action for at least 2 weeks, probably longer. Not being able to access the office, not being able to go in and access all like the servers that were in there, like all the just things like that. So getting rid of it was a blessing in disguise. But I do think that I don't think I needed it. Like realistically, I needed a few of the guys that the rest could have just worked from home. I think maybe we could have set like the manager and the heads of each department in one office and just had everyone else remote. But I think offices just generally cause issues. People don't get along in person when they do online. Like it's really hard. And like I wanted to try and go for the younger talent. So I wanted to try and pick up people that were 18, 19, just coming out of college, preferably before they even went to university, because university generally trains them in a certain way, and I wanted them to learn on their own rather than having like a lecture to tell them how to do everything. So, but then that opened up a whole new case for me, where I had like these socially kind of awkward guys who couldn't really look girls in the eyes and things like that, which becomes a problem when you have female clients coming into the office and they can't talk to them and stuff, you know. So there's all these problems that a physical office has, and I think 2020 made everyone realize it, like really everyone. People that had a really successful office, even like Ross Tavendale is saying that he wants to scrap the office completely. And before, he was all about a 4-day office week and all these crazy office and things and stuff. And now he's just like, nope, let's get rid of this completely. We can work online. So if he, who's the epitome of someone that would be running a digital agency out of an office in London, wants to scrap it, I think that, does anyone need it? Not really. You know, I think everyone can work remotely. Stress is way down. The commute is no longer needed. As long as everyone does their work and you can somehow track them remotely, you're totally fine. But generally, like my employees and staff, I didn't need to track them. They would do their work because they were happy to put in the hours and put in the effort and stuff. It just depends on how you treat your staff as well at the end of the day. Like, what are they going to get out of it at the end? You know, if they're not expecting anything, then they're not going to put the hours in really, because they're just going to look for the next opportunity, which is what everyone does.
That's it. Natural human beings just looking for something better. But it's good that you obviously realise that. And I think a lot of people, you know, have to feel that pain to wake up. You know, I've also had conversations with Ross Tavendale and stuff before, and I'm like, dude, you're paying so much for your London office. You know, is there any need for it? And I'm just talking about at a bar. You're just like, that's madness. And he's like, no, it's all good and blah blah blah. And then now, you know, you see them going, nah, we actually don't need that. And the amount of money these guys must be saving, you know, in terms of London offices and, you know, the London wages. And I
was in London, and my rent in Solihull, which is granted, it's one of the nicer areas outside London to live in, was £3,000 per month for like, I think it's like 55 square meters or 65 square meters. That's exactly. Do you know what I mean? And so in London, you're probably talking double for half the space. So
it's paying more than that.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Which is insane. If you're like, that's probably 100 grand a year on rent. Like that's 2 full-time employees at a decent wage. Like, you know, that's like, you can get some fucking good people for 50 grand a year. And so I have no idea why you would need to. London is just its own economy in my head. I think that's just why anyone would want to live or rent there. Is just beyond me.
No, it's madness.
Sorry, people from London.
When I look at my office rent, which is just a warehouse that I've got converted, £7 grand a year. And it's fairly sizable. I've got a training room, I've got an office, I've got table tennis and all that shit. So that's why I've always been like, God, why the hell are you paying that? That's crazy fee. Like, actually, for 100 grand in Scotland, you could get a decent sized house. Good 3-bedroom house.
In Thailand, you can get a 4-bed, 2-bathroom, maybe a pool. You know?
I'm always comparing it to like what someone pays for digital. You're just like, fuck, I could buy a house with that, or you know, whatever. So
you could literally probably, like, for the rent that they're paying in London, you could probably pay for everyone's visas and a house and buy the house in Thailand.
Exactly.
Just the rent they're paying in London. Like, and what productivity levels are you going to get out of people in the sun versus in you know, Tottenham? You know,
Exactly. You're scared to go to the shop. But I see actually Max Donnelly, who's building a house in the island next to Bali. Obviously, I've seen Matt Diggity building his house in Thailand, which is obviously another smart move. So yeah, I look at that stuff with a very, very jealous eye. But obviously, you're out in Thailand. Is it planned to stay there forever, or what's the?
So the start of this year, I got my 5-year visa for Thailand, and then the plan. But basically, I paid for my visa. So one of the perks of being a young, fairly wealthy digital nomad is that you can just buy your citizenship and buy your residency in most places. So for $15,000 US, you can buy 5 years in Thailand. For $30,000, no, for 35, you could buy 20 years. But I'm only 24, so I wasn't quite ready to commit to 20 years yet.
Yeah.
But luckily, I got my 5-year visa at the start, and because of COVID, they gave me a 6-month extension for free. So I actually have 5 years and 6 months. So what I'm going to do next year is use the 6 months when my girlfriend finishes university, and we're going to go to Cyprus and just use it as like a base to go around Europe, because a lot of my family retired to Cyprus. So I have a lot of, like, my grandma's there, and my stepdad's family is there and stuff. So we're going to go and see them, meet all my family that my girlfriend hasn't met. They're all in Cyprus, and we're going to use it as a base to fly around Europe, hopefully, as long as COVID isn't completely taken over 2021 as well. Hopefully we'll be able to use it as a base to fly around Europe, go to the Netherlands and Norway and everywhere. So
we can have another blast in Amsterdam.
Amsterdam, yeah, 100%.
It's always a good night out. Not that I can remember much of it. I always tell people the story though, that you laced my on a space cake. Someone mentioned the space cake, and me. I think it was me and Carol Hudson. There was a few other guys there, but me and Carol Hudson were naive to this kind of culture of taking cakes and shrooms and whatever else. So Charles said, "I'll go and get you a nice cake," and we came back. We'd been drinking for hours on end, and this is my version of the story anyway. Charles can sort it out if it's on.
My sober version.
Yeah, so this cake comes in, and me and Carol Hudson are looking at it, and we're like, right, we'll have half each. So we're just grabbing these chunks out of it. But I was picking like the top of the cake, which I thought was like Smarties or something like that. Now, don't ask me why I thought it was Smarties. It just looked like Smarties to me in my head. So I'm just,
And you're eating cake with it. It's not like you're just putting these things like you are. So it's kind of sweet as well. It was a very clever ploy on mine and Gareth Simpson's part.
but at that time, I think that night I was in the middle of a gay bar on the stage dancing. I think you guys had to check in your bags and came back like an hour and a half later, and I was still in the same spot, pouring beers over my own head. It was quite an eventful night. So
it was quite an eventful night, to be fair.
It's
just to clarify, they weren't actually Smarties, or
yeah. We want to. That's the thing about you. You somehow know where to get all these things. He just came back really quickly, as if he just went to some baker's and got a real cake, and it was.
I live in. I used to live in Birmingham, and it's the most common flight between Birmingham and anywhere else is Amsterdam. So it's every like 2 hours or 3 hours you can get a flight from Birmingham to Amsterdam, and it's a 40-minute flight. And if you book it 6 months before, you can get it for £30, £40. It's like $50. So I've been to Amsterdam 40 times, maybe 50 times during these little excursions to the airport and getting bored on a Thursday or Saturday. Why not? You can just fly there, £50. So I generally know the Amsterdam like the back of my hand pretty well, and I love the culture. Like, food's awesome. Like, the best people in the whole of Europe probably is Amsterdam. Everyone's lovely and friendly as hell, and everyone wants to party with you and have the best time in the world. Yeah, so chilled. Everyone's riding bikes and it's just relaxing stuff. So I just love going there, as well as for the going and having some legal fun as well. So we were actually in the gay district in Amsterdam, which is just by the red light district, and we were inside of this bar. Bear in mind that Dutch gay bars are probably not like gay bars in many other places. They're extremely friendly. Like, you want to go into these places because they're like, everyone's like having a great time, everyone's fun, and generally it's not the kind of place where you get British guys that are drunk and up for causing trouble. So, and we were with a few other affiliates and stuff from the IGB conference anyway, and Craig's in there with Carl, as I said, and you guys had just come out of being in there, and that's when we were like, we need to get some food, but everyone's a bit fucked, so I think it was Gareth who said we should get the cake. Totally my idea to put magic mushrooms on top of this cake. I will accept responsibility for that one, because next door to this coffee shop was a huge mushroom sign, like a gigantic red and white mushroom. And me and Gareth, who I say we were sober, we weren't that sober at all, saw this sign and we're like, wow, let's go into this shop. So we've gone in there and we're like, and the lady's got all these boxes of truffles and shrooms and stuff. And she's like, what do you want? And we're like, what's the ones that taste the best? She's like, we've got some chocolate covered truffles here. So I was like, okay, we'll pick these up. And me and Gareth got this cake, put all these truffles on top, all these magic mushroom truffles on top of this cake, handed it over to Craig and Carl, and I think the rest is history after that, basically.
It was a really good night, I'll be honest, but when I look back, I'm just like, I don't normally have the energy or the crazy...
No, yeah, they do give you like crazy amounts of energy. So I will say, like, if you want to go and find yourself, go and experiment and try these things that have been like demonized, because bear in mind, when I was at school, and probably when you were at school, they made magic mushrooms out to be like the devil. Like, you're gonna take these things and want to kill yourself and jump off a bridge and do all this, and like realistically, you're like just uncontrollably laughing and like having the best time of your life, and like dancing around a gay bar, pouring beer over your head like Craig.
I certainly wasn't want to kill myself or kill anyone or anything like that. It was
Amsterdam is just like the place to go to try all these things that one time you want to go a bit crazy. And like I said, the people and stuff are really open and friendly and honest. And I just that was probably one of the funniest and best SEO events we've ever had. Realistically.
I miss the old SEO events, and that has been a killer for me this year. Just not getting out and.
Well, Chiang Mai is supposed to be not even a month from now, so so it's a bit of a shame, and especially this year is supposed to be the biggest year ever. Matt had 1,200 seats or something available for Chiang Mai this year, which is huge, which is insane. So it is a real shame that all the events have been cancelled this year, but hopefully we'll be able to have bigger and better versions next year with everyone's bottled up, pent up energy.
Exactly.
Next year.
But before we do wrap up, I've had guys like you, I've had Holly Starks on, I've had various other people who I would consider to be in the black hat side of things or understand the black hat side of things. Now, this doesn't have to be one of your tricks, but what is the dodgiest black hat trick you've seen work? Whether it works now or not is irrelevant. I know you're not going to give anything that actually works, but what is the dirtiest thing you've ever seen when it comes to black hat? And the only reason I'm asking is every black hat person I get on here, I want to know what the dirtiest thing they wear. And to give you an example, Holly Stark said uploading a clear overlay over someone's image on their GMB, like upload a dildo or whatever that the human eye can't see, and then reporting it gets the GMB taken down. So yeah, what are you saying?
Yeah, to that? I think the other dodgiest one I have is from Holly. My personal dodgiest one, the one from Holly I'll start with though is her cookie stuffing one, where she would basically no matter what page you were loading onto, she would forcibly inject her Amazon cookie and ClickBank cookie and ShareASale cookie and everything, all of her affiliate cookies into your browser. So it would be as if you had a 60-day tracking cookie from her on all of these platforms. So anything that you bought off these platforms for the next 6 days, she would get a commission off, which is just crazy. And ingenious before they stopped it with some browser technology. But I would say from my side, I was actually talking about this trick that I didn't even believe in until I ran an experiment myself. I was talking about it in Traffic Think Tank, which is a group with Matthew Barbie, Nick Eubanks, and Ian Howells. It's a really good community. It's premium, but it's probably the best premium community out there for SEO. And basically, I'd seen in an affiliate SERP, so part of the analysis that I do when I'm analyzing affiliate SERPs is I have a tool that shows me the top 10 results, full meta title, their word count, outbound links, on-page internal links, all this kind of data just from a glance, so that I can basically go and say, okay, the first page has 78 character meta title. It's too long. This is what it is from the Google results. And I can see there's 80 outbound links on the page. There's 200 words, blah, blah. And this site kept on popping up, ranking, but my tool was saying that it only had like 120 words on page, but it was ranking across this niche pretty well for like multiple things. And I was like, how is it that every other site or every other page in these SERPs has like 3,000 words, 2,000 words, 4,000 words, but these pages only have 120 words, and because that's not physically possible, right, to be able to rank content. So I loaded the pages on, and I was like, oh, my tool's bugged. There's actually content on this page after all, because there's loads of content on this page, and it looks totally normal. So I go back and I reload my tool. And I'm like, right, what the fuck is wrong? Now it's my coding. Now there's something wrong with my side. And maybe it's like JavaScript is like stopping my crawler from like reading the pages stuff or whatever. Something's going on here. So I went back to the page and viewed the page's source and was very shocked to see that all of this content, there was headers, there was H2s, but beneath the content that was words, this was just a screenshot of someone else's content.
Oh man. So
they screenshotted somebody else, another person's blog post, and just stuck all of these screenshots in between these H2s, but they're just screenshots of words. Yeah. So Google's image bot is processing this these images into the words, but then somehow not putting it through Google's own indexer or Google's own algorithm processor. And then it's showing up with, and then it's actually using this content as unique content, even though it's a competitor's blog post. And bear in mind, every page on this site had the exact same setup. There was like very few pages that had any actual content on the site. And they were like, it wasn't just one blog as well, it was like various other sites. So they'd actively gone out and copy and paste all this information over. So I was just astounded that the Google, and bear in mind, this was like a few months ago. So this isn't even like happening 10 years ago. This is like very recent and like actively probably still a technique that can be used. And I was thinking about how this could be used, right? So you could theoretically make a site, put it through the sandbox, make sure it ranks, make sure it's all good to go, and then you can put the real content on it and then make it really rank. But you don't have to pay for the initial content. You can just copy someone else's and screenshot it. So that's probably the one of the dodgiest ones, and one of the most, maybe not the dodgiest, but just the most, wow, that actually fucking works. Kind of like, what? Yeah. Kind of one. So that was astounding to me. And a lot of the TTT guys, so the Traffic Think Tank guys who I was in the Slack channel, they were like, wow, you know, another guy had seen something similar 2 years prior, but had never ran his own test. I started running my own tests, but I won't reveal the details in here to that one. They worked. So screenshotting competitors' content worked. But so it's a pretty crazy technique. So I think that was probably the weirdest one, at least of this year, that has happened.
Yeah, and you know that's people are just going to rip the piss out of that now and and get
No worries,
that. But, nah, people never take action. So, but for anyone who does want to still talk to you, is it only your Twitter? Is that the best place to get a hold of you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter daily. I'm on nothing else daily. Like, that's it, really. I'm going to start doing some YouTube stuff again once I've done all my Gumroad courses, because I have a product roadmap, like I said, of basically having everything within SEO that you want to learn being able to be on my Gumroad profile, so I can teach you the entirety of SEO. But once I've done that, that's when I want to start hitting YouTube again, because whilst I dislike the blogging side of things anymore, like, I'm kind of done with blogging. I did one blog post the other day, in the first time in a year. It's nearly 6,000 words. It's a review of Ryan Stewart and Nick Eubanks' 2 courses, basically comparing them against each other. And that took me like 3 weeks, 4 weeks to put out, just because I didn't have the motivation to do it, and I was delaying it, and other stuff was going on. So and whereas YouTube, I actually find it pretty easy to do the videos, and I have a lot of ideas for video, and I quite like this kind of format. So yeah, I'm probably gonna, but the main way to contact me is Twitter. My DM's are open, so if you have a Twitter profile, you can DM me.
Get him on Twitter. The link will be below to his Twitter as well. And as I say, have a look at the Gumroad stuff that Charles has got, and as he says, he's going to be adding a lot more. And also check out your £100 bonus with ODYS Global. But yeah, that is an hour and 1 minute long, and it's actually flown in. I think there's a lot of knowledge there. It's actually one of the longer podcasts I've ever done, but we could probably sit and talk for like fucking 5 hours just chatting shit about SEO. That, you know, we've only scratched the surface there, but it's good to see you back on video, and hopefully, you know, you're coming back to YouTube and keeping us all up to date with some of the stuff that you're doing, because I think anyone will agree, you know, a lot of the stuff you put out is good, solid information, and that is the type of person that, you know, I personally like to learn from. And yeah, so guys, give Charles a follow on Twitter, check out his courses. If you're not, you're missing out on the big trick, so believe me. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man, as well. Thank you for, you know, as well.